Wow, how about this? How about this? I've never seen so many deplorables in one room. This is unbelievable. Now, first of all, what a great turnout. Have we got any members of the fake news in the audience today? We got anyone from The Guardian? Have we got anyone from the ABC? Well, you're going to get triggered, so hold that thought. It is great. It's great. It really is great to be here. Thank you for having me, putting on this beautiful New South Wales weather. It's been magnificent. It's great to... it's climate change. It is great to see so many people here today and people who are prepared to defend conservative values and fight back against the ideologies that really threaten the peace and prosperity of our nation. And although the media wouldn't have you think that Australian conservatism is a proper movement, they would have you think it's a fringe movement. When I look in this audience today, I can tell you I don't see anything like a fringe movement. I see ordinary people who are worried about their country, who are here to fight for them. So congratulations to you. Now, the truth is that in Australia, just like across the world, many people are waking up, I think, to the fact that the values which they hold dear and perhaps have taken for granted for a period of time are under attack. And many of us who are here today have probably been aware of this for quite some time, while others have probably made that a more recent realisation. But there are many others out in the community that know their way of life is being threatened, and there is a desire out there to do something about it. These people are, to use Sir Robert Menzies' famous phrase, the forgotten people, because we've been forgotten by the media, some of the political class pretends we don't exist, and we are viewed as though we're in the minority. But the truth is we're actually not. We're the quiet Australians, the silent majority, those who hold traditional and common sense values and ways of thinking, who work hard for our families, wanting less government intrusion in our lives, and expect our elected representatives to represent those values as we would expect. And as Conservatives, we know that something that we hold dear, something that we value and cherish is now at risk. We want to defend it so that we can enjoy it and also pass it along to the next generation so they can enjoy a country similar to the one we grew up in. So what is it that we as Conservatives care about and cherish so much? Why are we not happy with the way things are going in our country politically and culturally? Well, in our context, as Australians, we've been gifted a great moral, religious, philosophical and legal and political tradition from our British ancestors, which was forged out of our Judeo-Christian roots. However, that great tradition and heritage is under assault and is being undermined at virtually every level of our society. It's attacked by the media, it's attacked by the universities, by the schools, by the political class, and we can't forget by unelected international bodies like the UN. These are the bodies that care nothing for the past and are determined to create a utopian future that requires us to surrender our liberty. We're told that our heritage is oppressive, that it's steeped in colonialism, patriarchy and racism. We know that's not true. A healthy and flourishing society is not one that's micromanaged by a centralised power, which is impractical and impedes real progress, but it's one that frees people to be themselves as much as possible. Yet these unelected bodies like the UN, the EU, they try to impose their ideas on countries in a way that's really not conducive or organic for the form of innovation. People around the world now, I believe, are starting to wake up to this, because a nation ultimately that is ashamed of its heritage and its views and which views them as evil is ultimately doomed. And if we can't instill in the next generation a sense of gratitude for the wisdom of the past goodness we've inherited and hand it down to something worth safeguarding, then nihilistic ideology comes to take its place. And this is what we've been witnessing with the rise of this phenomenon of wokeness, a worldview that sees oppression everywhere it looks and views human beings not as individuals who possess inherent dignity or worth, but as or people with free will and personal responsibility, but merely representatives of a group, one that happens to belong whether on your race or your gender or your sexuality or whatever else. It's ultimately a worldview which is obsessed with power and therefore with conflict, and it's a destructive view in the form that communism always envisaged. And I was talking backstage before about the words of the great Margaret Thatcher, who said words to the effect of, communism never goes away, it never dies, it just changes its shape and its clothes. And I believe that's what we're seeing today. But there is cause for hope. And the clip that was circulating around on social media this week of the new Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, quoting the great G.K. Chesterton was something to behold. And I think Chesterton said in that clip, or she referred to it, as fires will be rekindled to testify what 2 and 2 makes 4. Swords will be drawn to prove that leaves are green in summer. I doubt that even Chesterton could have predicted how prescient those words actually would turn out to be later on in life. But people around the world aren't going to give up their heritage and their independence without a fight, and it's been being taken back in many ways for longer than we actually realise now. And we heard from the great Nigel Farage earlier on. Really, he's one of the forebearers of this movement, and it's great to hear him talk, because the fight really began with Brexit in January 2026, when the British people decided that they didn't want to be micromanaged by the unelected, and if you remember that famous clip, people that have the look of a bank clerk and the personality of the same. One of the great lines, but I'm led to believe that got him in trouble. So what? He didn't care. And that's what we need back in politics now. People in Britain were tired of being governed by people who existed in a bubble far removed from their own everyday lives and cared little for the uniqueness of their own culture and the practical difficulties which were associated with it. Of course, the EU resisted this tradition, but the sentiment's still alive and well in Britain as we speak today. Then came the election of President Donald Trump, the result of ordinary people fed up with the establishment, seeking a leader who'd put America first, which doesn't sound like a revolutionary concept, but it was portrayed that way. I would have thought that this would have been uncontroversial, but according to the media, the simple fact of putting America first makes you a horrible racist. President Trump strove to improve the lives of Americans with policies that increased employment opportunities, secured the border, and he was accused ultimately of everything under the book. And we see that so often here in Australia too. It is time for conservative politicians generally, to stand up against this name calling and understand that the sky doesn't fall in henny penny, as they say. There's a growing movement of forgotten people who for too long haven't had that political representation. But I'm happy to say that in my home state of South Australia, there are many who are now forging a new home inside a reborn Liberal Party in South Australia, where we are providing a home for Conservatives. We are inviting Liberals back to the Liberal Party in South Australia. I encourage you to give it a try. It's a great feeling. In our cultural and political atmosphere, there is ample opportunity for the Liberal Party to offer its vision of common good that Australians can believe in, and the one that respects the ideals we've spoken of today. Unlike Labor and the Greens, of course, who want to increase the size of government and control their lives, the Liberal Party must hold to these values of the forgotten people or the quiet Australians who were, of course, dear to Sir Robert. These forgotten people, and I'm sure there are many here tonight, were grateful for this country and our way of life. However, the Marxists in our bureaucracies view the family as a threat to the state. We have to keep aware of what we're dealing with. We must understand where these centres of power lie, and that's how we will seek to defeat them and to triumph. Our growing movement of genuine conservatism is made up of people who understand that being a conservative means truly looking to conserve those aspects of life which we want to pass on, and those who come after us. So to conserve something is to protect it, to defend it, to care for it, to nurture it, and to not let it go to waste. That's what we must do with our heritage and our moral values. If we don't, we'll simply lose them. It's as simple as that. And the left have been marching through our institutions for far too long. It is fair to say that we have truth on our side, though. I think we must remember that. Truth always wins. I was having that conversation backstage again. We don't need to obscure the facts or engage in sophisticated word games. People know the truth, and when they hear it, that's why the leftist establishment in this country looks hard to silence the debate on every possible opportunity. That clip with Nigel Farage tells the story like nothing else does. This long march, the left's long march, has been a generational one. It's even longer, and conservative-minded people realise what's going on now. It's not too late. And Daniel Wild made that point very well, I think, before. The fight is not over. There are many quiet Australians who have realised what's at stake, who understand the importance of getting involved in politics, in being involved in the political process, in understanding how strong and how important you can be, even if it's just one of you. It makes a difference, I can assure you. There are many more who want to see this courage fight through and provide support for those who defend your values. Together, we will ensure that the forgotten people of Australia are no longer forgotten. Please join us.